Hope everyone's doing well and welcome back to another weekly outlook. So apologies for the late upload today. I've been a bit busy, quite a bit going on, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a pretty simple one today. And before we get into it, all I want to say is I've got a little surprise for the guys who managed to watch the end, so you guys can tune in for that. But cool, let's talk about what happened last week quickly. So what we had in the last couple of weeks actually was the sweep here, the move higher, and at that point when we came down, on our sort of daily time frame, when we had this retracement, we were looking for a move down, but it started becoming a bit more evident that the likelihood is we're going to be pushing higher from here rather than lower, right? Especially with this sort of daily candle in specific. So now at this point, what we see is the next buy side target is these highs, which I have not marked correctly. Market there, which are pretty much equal with these highs. So now we have a nice range to play with that price has retraced into. We've actually hit a position over here in the discount in this fair value gap and order block to go long towards these targets. And I think it's very, sort of easy targets for the pickings all the way between all of that sort of buy side liquidity trend line. So keeping it simple, what we want to see in this week, right, is most likely not a previous weekly low sweep. Instead, we want to see continued expansion this way. Once these highs are taken, then we can start talking about, are we going to get moved down? Aside from that, it's very choppy. It's very consolidated. We're coming from a sell side sweep. We're coming from a discount. So even in a sort of, this is consolidation we're going to stay in, the most logical direction for the time being is higher towards this liquidity. If we take a quick look at the monthly candle, what we can see is that our target, that buy side, actually lines up with a previous monthly high sweep. And I'm hoping once we get that previous monthly high sweep, then as we come for the FOMC meeting later in October, there might be a good chance that we can start pushing for further rate cut, which can help with expansion downwards on the DXY, which is what we want on the higher time frame. Right. So US 10-year. So cool. The weekly, not bad. Hit into that premium, started making a move down, is what we spoke about last time. Now, after doing so, it's not anything amazing yet. There's no clear expansion. Rather, we've got a sweeper and previous weekly low price went back into that range. So it's tough to say where we want to go with this. Overall, the range, the sort of larger time frame range that we've marked out here that we sit in is bearish, very similar to DXY. But for the time being, there is a good chance that we could still dig deeper into that premium before making that move down. So just something to watch for now. So coming up to Euro GBP, there's something we need to be a little careful with here. So at the moment, we are currently in DXY longs and also in EU shorts, right? Now looking at Euro GBP as a chart, there's a good chance we can get a bullish move from here. So something to consider is that we're coming from this weekly IO Fed, right? And we expect price to very likely push towards these equal highs and these equal highs as well, right? It's something I'll be watching. If we take a quick look at Forex Factory, actually, before we carry on, we have Euro news coming on the Monday, very early in the week, right? Not much on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday, we have the meeting minutes for the FOMC, which will be significant. I do think the market will be waiting for this. And you can see there's a few of our central banks speaking throughout the week as well. Unemployment claimed on the Thursday. Powell speaking. Something to watch for. I know it's an orange folder, but still. And NFP over here on this Friday. I believe it was meant to be last week, but they potentially postponed it due to... Go ahead and check. Yeah, they've postponed it due to the government shutdown. Okay, cool. Just double checking. And we've got a squished in with a lot of other red folder news events coming up for the US dollar as well on that same Friday. So if we head back here. So in terms of Euro and GBP, there's not much to watch for apart from literally on Monday, both central banks are speaking. And it might give us a bit of a push either way, right? So how, just a quick one, how do we handle this if we're in a sort of opposing position? Now, the easy thing to do would be, now that we know that and we bear that in mind, if we quickly take a look at Euro USD, is to possibly take that, risk off the table quicker. Like if for example, right, I'm in this position right now and my stop loss there is about 67 pips, and we know the next sort of logical high is here, that at this point I really wouldn't expect to get violated, if I'm being honest. I trim to here, that's about 25 pips. That's less than half. That's probably about 0.4% risk, roughly, right? So if we trim the risk to there pretty early on, which is most likely what I'm going to advise the mentorship to do anyways, it just takes it off the table. Now, even if it does move against us, of course, it will be an annoying loss, but at least it will take you out there. Whereas if EU stays as the sort of stronger pair and DXY decides to move lower, and the off chance that we're wrong, then there's a very good chance it could blow to that 1% very quick. Whereas, GU, which we are not in currently, and we potentially could position in, may not push for that stop loss wherever somebody's is as quick, right? Cool. Not much to add. There's not really much for us to take on these pairs either. There's nothing I'm particularly looking for. If you are somebody that's watching the majors, potentially hunt that previous weekly low sweep if it's offered. It's a bit of a long shot, it's quite far away, but if it's offered and you get a sort of textbook reversal, a push for these highs might not be bad either, in line with the DXY. CHF, also not much to add. Very, very choppy, very, very tight. Not a market for swinging, I would say, and not something I would touch in any instance. USDJPY. It's a bit of a crazy open there. I'm sure something's happened over the weekend. The markets are open at the time when you're recording this, so I'm not really sure what's going on here, but definitely something big to cause, that massive of a gap. Now, just looking at this chart, it's very obvious you most likely want to see this high get swept. Past that, we have these triple equal highs, right, or relatively equal highs between these three. I'd mark them as a target for now. It's not really a chart that I'm going to be trading, but the reason I would mark it is if those shorts are offered that we've been speaking about for a very, very long time, and these highs are swept out first, it might make for a very good scenario, because if these are swept out, then past that, there's not really any massive buy side targets on the weekly chart, at least, that I'd be looking for, right? Even on the daily, is quite far away, and it might really set up the environment for a low resistance liquidity run this way. Gold just doesn't want to stop at the moment. Cool. I would say from here, right? I don't want to charts. It's likely we're pushing for that 4,000 mark. It's a nice whole number. We're almost at 3,900. I wouldn't say, there's anything against price pushing for this. In terms of how do we get in line with this, how do we trade this, it's a very, very tough chart, right? When price is giving you one-sided price action, it's very, very hard to work with it. You just have to be patient, in my opinion. If you're going for the sort of swing aspect, you might be able to work off the weekly opens, but even if you look at the past few weeks, it's very hard to say, you should enter there. It does just look like extremely early low of the week, one-way move, and it's just not giving you much to get in line with. And especially once you do have this many weekly candles going one way, makes you a bit paranoid that the next one might actually move down, right? So what I would watch for, if you are somebody that trades this, which I'm not sure why you would, is a sort of really nice daily OTE setup. For example, if we take it from this sort of last low, we take it to the current high, I would say that's a decent range. Even if price pushes further, that's still the same range. And if price gives us a retracement and then was to sweep this internal low, go to this discount, then that might actually set up for a good swing OTE to then push for that nice round whole number like 3,950, 4,000, etc. S&P made a good move all the way back to the highs as we expected this week. Solid. Very simple coming off the OT. We've now got a new range to work with. There's a good chance it continues building that range, but once it has built that range, you've got a nice order block here, good low to use, and I would literally just use that same range, same format to then look for higher prices on the S&P once more. Cool. Bitcoin swept the highs. It's a funny territory right now, right? I know a lot of people are thinking it's the top in, it's the market cycle. I've seen a lot of that sort of talk going around. Right. Now, what do I think? It's tough. I think from here, the top may be placed around this area where price is. It's hard to make a hypothesis about these things. I feel like Bitcoin's the type of market you can't really time it. But rather, the easy thing to do, especially with the things I've taught you guys, is wait for the confirmations, right? Is there a reason for us to suddenly switch and be bearish? I would say for the time being, no. If there's rate cuts coming up in the sort of short and medium term future, there's no reason for us to say, oh yeah, that's it. Bitcoin cycle done, it's going to go down now. Instead, we've actually had a very textbook AMD. I would expect that distribution at least carries a leg higher. How far that leg goes is hard to say. But if we've peaked at around 125 now, then we could probably realistically push for the next whole number of 130, maybe even 135. It doesn't look that far away, right? Realistically. So that's the sort of thing I'll be looking for. In terms of getting in line with it, it's a bit tough. If anyone hit a swing from the sort of OT or discount zone here, you would have done well. We did speak about waiting for potentially for the 705, but it didn't come or a sweep on these lows. In terms of aligning now, you'd just be waiting for this, daily range. The other thing I would bear in mind that this whole daily section is a bit sideways. The price has swept the high. So if it now immediately trades back down, there's a good chance it might just stay in a very large consolidation like Bitcoin likes to do every so often, like we know it does, right? But yeah, guys, that is it for the weekly outlook. Like I said, I did have a little surprise for you guys that I watched through. This is something that I've been working on for a very, very long time. For you guys that are interested, you can go find the link. I'll type it over here because you won't be able to see on the search bar. You guys can go check it out. It's my own brand. I've built everything. I've done the website myself. There's a lot that's gone into this, and it's ready to buy. It's soft launched, which is why I'm leaving it as a teaser here, and the official launch is coming very, very soon. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Any questions, anything I can help with, please just drop me a message.